She was only 2 years old, a bright, smiling little girl who loved coloring, pushing her dolls in a toy stroller, and playing near the ocean. Her name was Tanilla Opal Warrick Deaves, and she was born on December 3, 2008, in New South Wales, Australia. To those who knew her, Tanilla was pure sunshine, bubbly, sweet, and always eager to make others laugh. Her stepmother would later describe her as a beautiful little girl who never complained, no matter what. But behind her constant smiles, no one, not neighbors, not family, not even the dozens of government workers assigned to her case, could stop the nightmare that would unfold in her short life. Tanilla was the daughter of Adrian Warrick, a man who had come to Australia as a child refugee from Colombia, and Donna Deaves, the mother of several children. Adrian adored his daughter. Having grown up separated from his own family, who lived in Colombia, he poured his heart into giving Tanilla the love and stability he had once longed for. But after he and Donna separated, his relationship with his daughter became increasingly strained. Donna began restricting his access, a decision that would soon have devastating consequences. By early 2011, Donna entered a new relationship with Warren Ross, a man with a history of anger, violence, and controlling behavior. That June, Warren moved into Donna's home on Stonehaven Avenue in Watanobe, a suburb on the central coast of New South Wales. From that moment on, Tanilla's life descended into constant fear. Not long after Warren moved in, he began physically abusing both Tanilla and her two sisters. He justified it as discipline, telling friends and neighbors that the girls needed to be taught respect. In reality, it was sadistic cruelty. In July 2011, Donna kept Tanilla home from daycare. The reason? Her body was covered in bruises. Instead of seeking help, Donna hid her daughter away, and Tanilla would never return to daycare again. About a week later, another disturbing incident occurred. While walking with Warren, the toddler complained that her legs were tired. Instead of picking her up, as any loving adult would, Warren lifted her by one arm, slapped her, and threw her several feet through the air. When she landed on the pavement, dazed and hurt, she reached out to him and said softly, "Pick me up, pick me up." But he didn't. He dragged her down the road, swearing at her as she cried. The very next day, a child protection caseworker visited the home after a family member reported suspected abuse. The report stated that Tanilla and her siblings were at very high risk of harm. But the visit was brief. The children were merely observed, not interviewed, and ultimately no further action was taken. Over the months that followed, both the little girl's father, Adrian, and neighbors repeatedly contacted social services. Adrian begged authorities not to return his daughter to her mother's home, describing the bruises and the signs of neglect he saw, but his pleas were ignored. Officials insisted Donna was a fit parent. Part of the reason that they stated he wasn't given custody was because the father had previously struggled with drug addiction. However, he was now clean and had been for some years. Neighbors, too, reported hearing the children scream, "Please don't hit us anymore," from inside the home. Others saw Donna and Warren using drugs in front of the kids. By this point, more than 30 reports had been made to child services, yet the children remained in the house. By late August 2011, Tanilla's abuse had become daily torture. She was often punished for minor offenses like wetting herself. Warren would force her to run laps in the family's garden until she collapsed from exhaustion. When she couldn't run fast enough, he beat her with his hands, and sometimes with an electrical cord. On August 25th, Warren again made Tanilla run laps around the living room. The little girl, who was extremely fatigued, was barely able to stand, so she stumbled and fell. Enraged, Warren hit her repeatedly on her head, back, and buttocks as her mother sat watching from the couch. Then he dragged Tanilla across the floor, while at the same time kicking her in the backside. This caused Tanilla to have another accident which further enraged Warren, so he struck her with an electrical cord. He continued whacking her with the cord for the next 3 to 4 minutes. After that, Tanilla was taken to the bathroom and placed into a cold shower. While Warren put Tanilla in the shower, Donna took her other children to the kitchen, and as she began walking towards the bathroom, Donna heard Tanilla's head hitting the glass of the shower door, twice, and her daughter screaming, "No, no, no!" Warren was holding Tanilla tightly by her wet hair, and he was banging her head into the shower wall. Her mouth was bloody, and she was crying. Donna later claimed that she tried to intervene to stop her daughter from being hit any further, but Warren again slammed the front of Tanilla's head into the shower door, and her body began flailing. Warren was screaming at her, "You don't like cold water, do you? You don't shit in my house? You're an animal." He continued to shout at Tanilla, "You're a black dog. You're a black cunt." Moments later, Warren lifted the soaked, shivering toddler by her ankles, dangling her over the toilet bowl. When the naked, wet, and shivering Tanilla began to lose consciousness, he ordered Donna to wake her up. Donna shook her violently, shouting, "Wake up!" But it was already too late. Warren dropped Tanilla and she collapsed. She could no longer stand or speak. Her small body went limp. At that point, Tanilla was lying on the floor outside the bathroom on her stomach, but Warren still was not done hurting her, and she was kicked in the lower back, causing her to slide across the wet floorboards and hit the top of her head into the cupboards, twice. Warren then grabbed Tanilla by her arm and leg and threw her onto a mattress. After he did, her mother walked over to the mattress, picked her daughter up, and placed her into a double stroller and left her there. Instead of calling for help, Donna placed her unconscious daughter in a stroller and left her there, where she would remain for 2 days. During those 48 hours, Donna carried on as if nothing had happened. She left the home to take another child to school, ran errands, and even had visitors over. No one was allowed to see Tanilla, hidden away in the stroller, dying. Donna would later say that she assumed her daughter's brain was seriously damaged due to the blows to her head, because she did not wake within a few hours, so she was probably better off dead anyways. Little Tanilla would never again regain consciousness. Only hours after Tanilla's attack, Donna left the home with her other 2 children to bring one of them to school and to make some purchases at a local store. During the course of that day, while Tanilla lay in the carriage dying, multiple family members and friends of Donna and Warren came and went from their house as well. The entire time, Tanilla was hidden away. Then, in the early hours of August 27th, 2 days after Tanilla had been beaten unconscious, Donna finally called the police to say that her daughter had stopped breathing. However, the mother refused to tell authorities what really happened, and Warren claimed that Tanilla had fallen either from a bed or off of a bookcase. But doctors at Wyong Hospital quickly knew otherwise. Her injuries were catastrophic. She had extensive bruising, welts in different stages of healing, and severe trauma to the head. It looked like she had been beaten with a cord or belt over a long period of time. Tanilla's autopsy confirmed what many feared. The little girl had died as a result of blunt force head injuries caused by prolonged abuse. The coroner later stated that if she had been taken to a hospital sooner, she might have survived. Both Donna and Warren were initially questioned and released. But a month later, Warren was arrested on unrelated charges, and then formally charged with murder after police connected the evidence. He was still claiming that he would never have hurt his stepdaughter, and that Tanilla must have hurt herself through a series of trips and falls. It wasn't long until neighbors began coming forward with statements. One woman said she had seen Warren hit Tanilla outside the home back in early August. Another heard the sounds of whipping and a child screaming. Through the wall, they had heard Warren yelling, "You poo in the toilet. You sit there. You don't move." And the subsequent beating lasted around 35 minutes before Donna came into the room and yelled out, "Enough." Other witnesses described how Warren bragged about Tanilla, making her scream. Despite all of this, child protection authorities faced intense criticism for failing to act. They had been warned over 30 times and had even documented that Tanilla was at high risk. Yet nothing was done to remove her from danger. In September of 2013, 2 years after Tanilla's death, the legal proceedings began, and her mother, Donna Deaves, accepted a plea deal in which she pleaded guilty to manslaughter in exchange for testifying against Warren. During Donna's testimony, she claimed that she'd told Warren to stop after he'd banged Tanilla's head into the shower wall. She also said that she'd been aware that her daughter was in pain and dying, but she'd feared for her life and had been too scared to intervene or call for help. She said, "Until you're in that position, it's impossible to judge and to say what it's like. When you're shocked and frightened or scared, it's really difficult to do anything. But the judge noted that while he accepted that Donna felt helpless, she should have at least had the courage to take her child to the hospital. Donna was sentenced to 12 years in prison, with a minimum of 9 years before she would be eligible for parole. Then came Warren's trial in October 2013. He pleaded not guilty to murder, insisting Tanilla's injuries were accidental. But the prosecution laid out a horrifying pattern of abuse, evidence of beatings, cold showers, and relentless punishment of a toddler too small to defend herself. Witnesses testified to hearing Warren shout things like, "Watch me make her scream," before whipping her. Donna's testimony confirmed the brutality of that final night. She told the court that her ex-boyfriend Warren was very angry about toilet training Tanilla. She spoke about how he would hit Tanilla with not only his hand, but also with shoes, electrical cords, anything really. Donna said that a frequent punishment handed down by Warren was to make Tanilla run laps around their living room if she soiled herself. On the day that Tanilla had fallen unconscious, Donna claimed that she had told Warren that she was going to call an ambulance, but he had threatened her, saying that if she did, he would lie and say that she was the one to inflict all the injuries on Tanilla. When it was Warren's defense's turn to speak, they claimed that the bruises found on the toddler's body were from falls and from her tripping. Warren had previously told police that Tanilla had fallen off a trampoline, fallen off a cupboard, and onto a bed. He had also said that the large bruise on her head was the result of her tripping on a protruding floorboard in the home. Warren also claimed that he and Donna had put Tanilla to bed the night before emergency services were called, and they had just later discovered her unconscious. A police interview was also played in court of Warren's interrogation. In it, he claimed that Tanilla's final words on the night she died were, "Good night, Daddy, I love you." After only a day and a half of deliberation, the jury found Warren Ross guilty of murder. Prior to Warren's sentencing a few months later, both of Tanilla's young sisters gave victim impact statements, along with drawings given to the judge. The drawing is of 2 young girls at a grave, 2 sisters next to a headstone topped with flowers. The words on the picture are simple but searingly honest. "I reckon you deserve a long time in prison. You have killed my baby sister. I am scarred for life. I am very, very angry and distraught. Do you know me and my sister are really angry because you have made the baddest thing to have happened?" the younger sister wrote. The judge spoke before handing down Warren's sentence and said that it was unclear if Tanilla's fatal injuries were caused by the banging of her head on the shower or the banging of her head on the linen cupboard. Either way, Warren had not expressed any remorse at all for Tanilla's death. Warren was then sentenced to 40 years in prison, only being able to seek parole after 30 years. His earliest release date is September 2041. Outside the court, Tanilla's father, Adrian, said, "Tanilla would have been 5 2 days ago. Justice has been done. I thank the jury for making the right decision." Tanilla's stepmother, Brooke, said, "She was such a beautiful little girl. All she did was smile and be happy and play. People talk about closure, but there's no such thing as closure. Today was a bit of acceptance that she's never coming back." In 2016, Warren Ross tried to appeal his sentence, saying there was a price on his head in prison and he was scared for his own safety. He was in protective custody at that point after having been assaulted 4 times. However, a Crown prosecutor said that his sentence should not be discounted because of the extreme nature of Tanilla's murder, as well as the extreme level of fear Warren had instilled in Tanilla prior to her death. Luckily, the judge ended up agreeing with the prosecutor, saying that Warren's sentence was appropriate due to the extreme nature of his offenses on Tanilla, and his appeal was denied. In 2020, Donna Deaves was released from prison after serving just 9 years, a decision that outraged the community and Tanilla's family. Tanilla's short life and tragic death led to a public outcry over systemic failures in Australia's child protection system. The case prompted multiple investigations into why so many reports were ignored, and how a child at such high risk could slip through every safeguard. For her father and stepmother, the grief remains, but they find comfort in memories of the little girl who loved animals, especially horses, and would laugh as the waves splashed around her tiny feet. They remember her not as a victim, but as a joyful child, one who, even in her brief time on Earth, touched countless hearts.